We're live. We're here
Hmm.
with Joshua Aldama, the man that up and left his job, his country, and went to Australia. Tell me, how'd you come to that?
Yeah, I have no idea. I just wanted to go. You run into a point in life where you look at everything, you're like, you know what? It's just time to do something different. So yeah, that was it, pretty much. I mean, there's a whole lot of it leading up to that, but it's you kind of get to a point where you kind of reach a point where I think everyone reaches a crossroads in their life at many points in their lives, and the moment you reach that crossroad, it's kind of like, which path are you going to take? Are you gonna take the path that's gonna lead back to comfort and pleasure and everything that's just like well known, and you can just be safe and fine there, or you're gonna take the other path? You're gonna take the path that's gonna go on the path that you don't know where it's gonna go. It kind of leads up to. We always have that analogy of taking that path where it kind of leads up a mountain, but going up the mountain, there's not a path to get there. But along that path, you kind of meet people and encounter experiences and things that happen that kind of, in a way, help you go up that mountain so you can reach that peak and be able to see what's on the other side.
What did you find on the other side?
Yeah. I found, I guess, understanding of what I want to, or I guess of who I am and who I want to be, or not who I want to be, but how I can make it, I guess, do something in the world, right? You kind of go through life kind of really wondering what the fuck we're doing here, what's my purpose in life and whatnot. And so I think when putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and being open to more experiences, even experiences that make you, especially the ones that make you feel real uncomfortable, those are the ones that are going to actually do something for you, right? Because it's easy for us to seek comfort everywhere. So if we're seeking comfort the whole time, all we're going to get is more comfort and pleasure. So it's kind of that, I guess just finding how you can do something for the world, not to, I guess, your world in itself.
Your little pocket of the world.
Yeah. How can you carry a little sunshine in your pocket too? Kind of shine it along as you go. That's pretty much it. But yeah, what is that exactly? I can't say that. Oh, this is what it is. I think that's part of the journey. That's part of the thing of how can what can I bring here, to be able to die and leave this world and be like, hey, I did every day, every moment of my life I spent to trying to do something, for others, rather than that, not just for myself or out of boredom or I need to find something to do. It's kind of like, all right, what can I do to better myself, or what can I learn that I can bring and gift to others whenever it's ready, whenever it's time for me to do that, right? So yeah, it's kind of where
the journey that you're speaking of. Can you go into more elaborate details on the type of journey, like during the time of Australia, the specific time period in Australia that gave you this, I don't want to say epiphany, but it's kind of like an epiphany. It gave you the show in your mind, the picture of how you want to create the rest of your life. Yeah,
it's I guess to that point, if you want to call it epiphany or just kind of a moment, it's very much like, if let's say you have a lake, right? You're kind of crossing this lake, and let's say the whole lake from left to right, right to left, however you want to see it. You're kind of walking past it. You're skipping along every moment, right? So you have all these blocks of stone or whatever that you just kind of hopping across, and so you're kind of reach a moment that you kind of realize that you're in the middle of this lake, and you don't see anything around you, and you look back and you see all these stones that you've been jumping from left to right, and then you've kind of maybe gone a certain way, and then you found out that way wasn't the way, so you kind of went back and retraced and did something else. So you get here, but then you kind of see that there aren't any stones for you to cross the lake. But then you look back and you're like, but there's stones behind me. Where do those stones come from? And then you realize, like, oh shit, like all those stones got me to here where I am right now. And there are more stones going forward, but I can't see them. But I know that every moment I'm making those stones. So it's kind of that, a lot of it was realizing it wasn't just Australia. It kind of became more of a, there's a lot of things that happened living here and when I was living in Mexico City growing up. All these little things that kind of, one thing led to another. And that's the beauty of life. You kind of have all these experiences and they just happen. And they all have something for you, right? So every experience, you can't say like, that's a shit experience. I'm going to put it aside. I don't want to deal with that one. I want to wait for the good one. Now it just kind of comes. And then I guess now that's how it is. It's more of like whatever experience comes, it's like, oh, okay, how do I deal with that one? Or what am I supposed to learn from this? How can I flip it? What am I going to do with it? But not run away from it. Because the moment you start running away from it, then it's just going to chase you behind, and it might arise somewhere else where you kind of like, now I have to deal with it. That's what it kind of, a lot of things taught me was that. But I think there wasn't a moment that started something that made me get to that point of realizing or coming to any conclusions on anything, but it was more of a kind of looking at different perspective of life and figuring out that there was never a starting point. Every starting point is just depending on where you want to put that starting point on, right? If you want to say, well, what, my journey started when I moved to Australia. It's no, I could say it also, my journey started when I started working at SeaWorld, right? I could say, well, my journey started when I picked up the guitar for the first time and joined a band, and it's like you can start the journey in any section, and where you start, it tells a different story. There's different things that you learned, and but they all kind of mix in together, so you can kind of, that's the incredible thing, you can kind of get your life story or everyone's life story, and you can kind of start a story from any point, and you can tell a different story of the same story. So
where when you're on this trip and you're in the lake, what did you see? Not only did you see the stones, but what else? What propagated you to do what you want to do now?
I don't even know what I'm doing right now. But it wasn't I guess it's more of a not seeing, but understanding. I guess it's understanding of that we only have if you want to say we only have one life, that this is it, and that every moment is it, and that there's so much out there, and the world is much bigger than some of us tend to recognize. Yes, we see it and we're like, oh, the world is big, it takes you this long to get here, it takes you this long to get over here, but actually I think the traveling part kind of brought that into more perspective, right, of how big it is. So I guess it gave you more of an understanding of just how to approach things rather than to see where I'm going. It's kind of like life is very much like driving in fog with one headlight on in your car. You just kind of going slow, and you're kind of taking every curve slowly and all that. But then sometimes the fog disappears, and then it's just sunny, and you can see.
You're racing down the mountain.
You're like, whoa, there's a big winding road coming up, And then the fog comes in again. You're like, okay, I know there's a winding road. I'm going to take it slow. So that, I guess that's kind of what more of the what I guess quote unquote saw, right, or understood. It was just like, hey, take it day by day, moment by moment. You're here, okay, move on.
It's like that. The fog is the problems, so you go slow and steady around the curves, and then when it opens up, it's bright and sunny. You're all like, no problems. I'm free. I can go full throttle. I can keep going. I can go. And then all of a sudden, fog comes back. And I'm like,
Yeah.
All right. I just gotta take things slow, relax, go through it. It's gonna get harder. It's gonna get even harder before it gets better. But I know we'll get through this fog.
Yeah.
It's essentially what it is.
Yeah. 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 It's going back to that moment, right? And not looking forward or wishing it was sunny again. Because in the moment you're wishing it was sunny again, now you're not focusing on the road. You're not focusing on the curve that's coming. You're focusing on, if only we're sunny out right now, I'd be going so fast. Well, I remember when it was sunny out, but you're in the fog. Focus on the fog. Focus on where we are right now. That's exactly it.
So where are you right now with music, video, and photography? Where are you at with that?
I did. I think growing up, I've always did. Not always did, but I started off with music. I remember buying my first guitar when I was, I think, like 13 or around there. Who knows? Taught myself how to play guitar, and then later on, when I was in high school, then I started getting into the what's it called? Photography. I did photography for a bit, so I always had that kind of insight there. During high school, I was in a band for quite a few years. And then when I started working, I kind of left all that, kind of like the artistic part behind, and just focused on work. I was like,
you got real professional for a period of time.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I loved it. It's I had a job that I absolutely loved. I couldn't be more thankful for it. But of course, but then later on, then that just kind of grew out. I grew out of that, and that's when I kind of the switch to going Australian. Let's do something completely different came out. Coming back now, it kind of made me see, I enjoyed work and I see what it brought to me. But then I also kind of realized I left my child self behind. The one that wanted to create things, the one that was inspired by music all the time, the one that always wanted to take pictures of everything. So I kind of saw that to be a great opportunity right now to kind of invest in myself and reinvest in myself to kind of work on that creative aspect that I kind of left behind, to kind of bring it back up. And and it's interesting because now I have have a completely different approach and perspective on, I guess, in a creative process on versus what I used to do. I think now it's, I think before the creative process was more of, I want to try to be somewhere. I want to be someone. I want to be famous. I want to be in a big band. I want people to like me. And, so it became a very, not much creative anymore. It became more of a, almost like that's what I want to be, like a job.
I want to be a rock star.
Yeah. And then with the rock star life, then came, the whole, well, now we're going to party, we're going to go play a show and we're going to party. It wasn't about playing the show, and it was in a big sense about playing the show and being there, but at the same time, as we're playing in the back of your head, and then we're going to party. And then, this girl came and talked to me. So now you're focusing on that. You're focusing on everything else but that part. And even in the creative portion of it, of writing, is seemed to be kind of that. Then it's split dualistically into this creative, but at the same time, I want to have fun, which is fine. Hey, I don't regret anything of it. It's just the way things worked out. But now it's kind of like, I don't have that, I want to be famous. There's be someone or be something big. It's more of just, I want to create something that the way I see the world, on how can I express the way I see the world and the way I express myself, my life, out, and just put it out there, and just, and that's it, whatever comes from it comes, and if nothing comes, then nothing comes. But I think I'll enjoy my life like that.
I think everyone needs to share a little bit more of the way that they see life in their own perspective, because we all live totally different lives. We all live totally different perception of life. And I think the more people share their perception of life, whether bad or good, in the end will turn out good, because it's out there. People are watching and like, ooh, that doesn't look like that person lived a good life, or that person looked like he lived a hard and bad life with the choices he made. I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to feel good. I don't want to be angry or mad at people. I want to be good. I want to do nice things for other people. I want to, same thing like you, just help your little pocket of the world, help your corner of the world. It's hard to change the whole world, but maybe you can change a couple people in your neighborhood, maybe in your social circles. Wow. But yeah, it's just insane how connected and disconnected we are. But I love that, because then the people that are connected show both bad and good sides of life. And I think we need that. I think that will like move us forward into living and treating each other better.
Yeah. I've heard the quote of I think it's think globally, act locally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's exactly that. It's yeah, it's interesting when you really think about it. This is the first time in human history that we have been, or known human history, that we've been in such a interconnected way, right? So everyone's an artist. Everyone can create something. We put the concept of artist as in like a person, right? We think of an artist and automatically think an actor or musician, and everyone just goes, "You're an artist, and you're not an artist."
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, everyone's an artist. Everyone's creating something all the time, right? Whether if you express it in a certain way, or painting, or something that we consider art, then we say you're an artist. But now that we're also connected, we can all create something to, like you said, show our perspective of the world, so other people can see, oh, you know what? I live in the same city as you are, but you're living a really shit life, or not shit life. Who knows? Maybe
or
shit
good life, or bad
or
life,
good
or
life.
just
Who
a
knows?
different life.
Yes. And but for me, I might think that's a shit life, but then I see that you're having a blast. You're having a great life, and I'm over here thinking that my life was great, or whatever way you want to look at it. But in reality, it's just a different perspective. Everyone's living their own experience, their own journey, their own play. And it's just kind of, if we can see how everyone else lives, then we can start kind of adapting a little bit more, and being able to recognize ourselves as what we are. Just humans are all the same. We're all people. We're all There's no difference in anything. If we all have different paths.
Exactly.
We have different approaches to things, and I think as long as we were all doing everything with love and compassion for others, then if you don't like something, then that's fine. Just don't like it, but there's nothing wrong with them liking it too, or vice versa.
I mean, yeah, there's nothing wrong with like not liking something, but there's a whole entire another level to it when our approach to it when you want to disagree with it. I mean, I've seen videos of people, the way they disagree, it's anywhere from shouting out, being angry and abusive with their words, to people pulling out guns and shooting each other. Like, it's insane. Like, why do that? Why have that mentality?
No, it's I think it's a learning process, and it's something, again, with all this new perspective that we're seeing, is that we're all kind of getting a wider understanding of how we are reacting to things, because we're seeing, okay, hey, we're reacting to words right now. We're all fighting against each other because of things that are said. And so, but things that are said are all, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. My mom used to always tell me that when I was a kid, and I was like, oh no, where's it going to hurt? So
words can hurt. From those that you love, they can hurt very bad.
Yeah, but it's kind of, how do we, as a society or as individuals, how do we kind of, on our own terms, because no one else can teach us this, it's kind of how do we react to things that are said, right? How do you get something that really offends you, and are able to not react with anger back, because that only just creates a circle, right? It's just you get anger, you give anger back, it's just going to go back and forth, and it's just going to keep going. But how, if you can receive something that you don't agree with or you dislike, to kind of just settle down and think. And sometimes all you got to do is think and not even say anything back, right? Or we always want to say something back, something that we don't agree with all the time. Sometimes saying something back just makes it worse. It's just feeding the loop. It's just a feedback loop that goes on. So sometimes it's just better to just, I guess for an individual, or to kind of take that approach, that psychological approach that we're all, I think, slowly but surely kind of moving towards, now that we're all kind of, again, more connected, through the internet and intersocially that way. Oh, that's the word, intersocially.
Can be.
Now it is. And but I forget what I was saying.
No worries.
But going with that of just learning that part again psychologically, I think it's kind of the direction we're going in right now, because we're not really we're living in the United States where many of us aren't at physical danger at all. The only danger that we have is ourselves, our minds. We're kind of locked in them. We're like, oh,
yeah, we become our own worst enemies because we don't understand. We people don't understand emotions, essentially. Don't completely understand what anger is. Don't understand what sadness is. Well, once you read a couple, excuse me. Once you read a couple psychology books, you start understanding why you act a certain way, why you react to certain events that happen to you. Like, once you start understanding that, you can, like, oh, I'm this way because of something that happened in my past, or I react this way towards this type of event, whether that's bad or good. If it's good, then you stay you reinforce that with a positive. If it's a bad reaction towards a certain type of event, then what was that event? What caused you to react that way? Like, why are you sad, angry? What caused that? Mm-hmm. Like, you have to keep questioning why you're angry, why you're mad. Otherwise, you just keep on throwing a tantrum like you're a little kid. And a little kid doesn't understand why they're mad, why they're angry, why they're sad. Sometimes they do. If it's real close to their heart, yeah, they can understand why. But sometimes they'll just throw a tantrum because they're hungry.
Yeah.
To me, that's insane. And maybe sometimes I get a little testy when I haven't eaten all day. Like a little bit. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, okay, haven't eaten. Need to eat something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it seems it's the interesting, the evolution of humans. I think we've talked about that before too. How we kind of evolved from like the senses, from the sight and the touch and smell and all that, and now it's kind of like we're at the phase where those are we can work on them in certain ways. Some of sight we can improve it and so forth, and smell we can just kind of almost practice it, right? Different smelling different things and tasting different things and foods and whatnot. But then you have kind of like the inner, the emotional, the feelings, the psychological part that we're kind of like, no, we don't want to deal with that. Not touch that. Let's make ourselves, let's become Superman first. But we're like, oh, but the mind part, hold on, it's a little bit too iffy for me. I don't want to get into that because
it's the outside what counts, not what's on the inside.
Yeah.
That's sometimes what the world perceives. It's what's important on the outside instead of what's on the inside.
Yeah.
Very few people understand like what's on the inside actually is a lot better than what's on the outside. Because if you build what's on the inside very strong and very, very mentally strong as well, you're unstoppable.
Yeah, absolutely. And two, you kind of look at everyone if everyone's on their own stage of their own, I guess, evolution, right? If we're speaking in evolutionary terms, you can see as everyone is not on the same level per se, right? That it's hard to go within for a lot of people when they're struggling with a lot of without, things that they're struggling for food to eat and they're struggling to stay warm, to whatever it might be outwardly, then they can't really go inwardly, right? Or maybe some people can. They go in and a lot of people rise and do really good things on for humanity. But I think you have when you're not. I forget who it was that kind of laid out the necessary. It's like a pyramid, and it's like the very bottom. It's food, sleep, and or food, shelter, and
heat, warmth.
Maybe warmth. I'm not sure, but it's kind of like the base of what you need to just live, right? And then after that, then becomes money, or looking for that, and then after that becomes pleasure, and then after that becomes something else. But the very last one is they point out spirituality, or they point out as inner work, or just kind of self. Because if you don't have all the support beneath it, then you can't get to that point because you need that support. You need to get to that point. And it's kind of that, it'd be amazing if everyone could have that. And I think that's kind of like once you reach that point of if one's able to complete their own pyramid, that is kind of their responsibility to kind of what can I do to help outwardly to help people that don't have food? Okay, what can I do to do that? Right? Maybe there's no way I can help with that, but someone else can. Right? Maybe there's certain ways that I can help with something that I see people need help with or can use, or something that I have that can provide that whatever necessity that that's my focus, right, in my life. Or but I can't fix everything, right? No one can fix everything, so there's no, it's someone's. I always love arguments when people are like, well, why don't you go do this, and why don't put all your money over here? It's like, hold on, that's not going to fix everything. You got to only focus on what you can achieve and what you can fix, to kind of help people build their own pyramids, because that's kind of what I think in the ultimate goal for humanity is that everyone builds their own pyramid, has their own pyramids. You kind of look at I always like looking at the dollar bill. It has a little pyramid, and at the top of it, it's just kind of like,
the all-seeing eye.
Yeah, but to get to that, to complete the pyramid, you need a structure first. And everyone, I guess more of this analogy-wise, that everyone has their own pyramid, and everyone needs to build that pyramid in order to complete it later on with more inner work or inner self.
How do you become so insightful, Josh?
I don't know.
What do you read?
Oh, I read stuff. I actually never read I never liked reading at all. To be honest, for like 10 years, didn't pick up a single book. And then my sister, right before I went to Australia, she gave me The Alchemist. And that was a good book. I kind of, I've read it and on my way over there, and found it really inspiring. After that, I kind of started reading a little bit more, and now I just kind of read whatever comes in front of me or that looks interesting to me. I think I was into a lot of psychology books, and not psychology books, but I was really into psychedelics. Of reading about them. I've never had the desire to try them. But reading about them, I found fascinating, because just the psychological aspect of it with that, and then also the historical past of psychedelic use and all that. It's just really, really interesting how it all just kind of connects with things that
connects really with the spiritual world.
Yeah,
like it helps you connect with the spiritual world, and then just how long it's been integrated in civilization.
Mm-hmm.
Like even as far back as Native Americans from using what is it? Peyote. Yeah, peyote, and then down in South America, I forget what they
ayahuasca.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention also, when you go to every continent, they seem to have like their own mystical plant or herb that would send them on these epic journeys.
Yeah.
To help them, guide them to a decision for their tribe or their people, to help guide them in a spiritual way. What should I do? In a weird sense of way. Like that's what it seems like, why they just went on use those psychedelics, because it gave them a different insight to either the problem that they were facing or just towards life in their society.
Yeah, no. I think it was Michael Pollan said in his book How to Change Your Mind was the Inuits. I guess the Inuits were the only ones that he found that didn't have any type of plants, plant medicine.
Really?
Yeah, but everyone else had something. Even if it was from caffeine, very minimal. The Inuits were the only ones that didn't have it, because I guess where they lived, nothing really grew that provided that.
Where'd they live?
Where it's really, really, really cold. That's all I know. A really, really cold place.
Cold regions.
In the north, but yeah, no, I think it's been out there, and it's interesting looking at kind of like the history that we've had in the United States of with that, and how right now it's kind of making its way back. With it's really showing a lot of good potential with medicine, with depression and PTSD and all sorts of different cancer patients. They're starting to make all those studies and becoming more available. So they kind of have, I can kind of see this really big explosion in the next 2 to 3 years.
Oh yeah,
of just a big psychedelic plant medicine. Just kind of helping people cope with those things that they have within that it's really hard to cope with outwardly. Again, like we talked about, we can't going for pleasure, comfort just kind of masks that the inner struggle that we have a lot, and it's kind of that it's kind of like we're built in a sense. We've kind of little by little building this little hut around us, right? And the moment the monster creeps right above and threatens us and we get scared, we kind of build a little bit more and put a little bit more walls around us, a little bit more comfort. We start there's a window, but the monster kind of peeks in and goes like, "I see you, motherfucker," and then you're like, you cover the window and then you put a bigger couch and you get a bigger TV, and then you get a little, you get a little bit more comfortable here, and then you just start compressing, and then you just feel stuck, because then you realize that the only way out is through the wall. And so then, that's what psychedelic does. It kind of, the way I see it, seems like it kind of pierces through the walls and tells you, stick your head out, look at the eye. It's your eye. It's you. You're the one that's scaring yourself.
Yeah, it's like that mask comes off and everything that's being projected underneath the mask is now being projected in front of you. And then you think like, oh, what is that? Why am I seeing that? And I'm like, no, that's just your mind projecting how you're perceiving your world, your reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you're starting to see monsters, then you have some things that you need to work on.
Yeah.
If you see wonderful lights and, I don't know, fantasy things that are like sci-fi or just out of this world, you just like, oh, I'm on a good trip.
I see ghosts. I love ghosts.
Ooh, let's get back to Australia. What was the best experience you had in Australia?
Oh man, it's like asking a parent what's their favorite child.
They have one.
They do.
Secretly.
I'm not a parent, so I wouldn't know.
They'll never tell you.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think I had really a lot of good ones. I guess living on an island for a few months probably was the best experience. Not best, but really good experience. It taught me a lot. I lived on an island called Kangaroo Island, which unfortunately burnt. I think more than half of it burnt down in the fires.
Did any of the places you worked at?
Oh yeah, all of them.
Are they okay?
All the places, both places, not all, both places that I worked at burnt down. So they're gone. Unfortunately, really sad. But so the islands, it was south of, right off the coast of Adelaide, which is South Australia. It's about a 45-minute ferry ride, and then once you get on the island, drive from one end to the other was about maybe 2.5, 3 hours from point to point. The place that I lived at was kind of on the far side of the island, so it was about a 2.5 hour journey to the ferry. But then also I worked at a potato farm. It's called Flinders Chase. And I worked at the potato farm that the nearest grocery store was about an hour and 15 minutes away. So I'd go buy groceries every week. So kind of, that was interesting. Then I lived in a house with a bunch of other people. It was a house that had rooms, and all those rooms had some bunk beds, and it's kind of like I guess in a way a hostel or house share. So that was my first time kind of like living with other people that I didn't know, sharing the same room and being there with them and cooking with them and doing all that. So that was eye opening kind of. And then also just living out there. It was absolutely beautiful. There's no doubt about that.
Australia is a very beautiful place.
Yeah. No, but there's some portions here that that I remember just kind of looking out to the distance and seeing everything, and it was just kind of, this cannot be real. This is just amazing. And you just, think the way the sun and would kind of go down. I remember, now I think of like one of the most beautiful experiences I had was, I was looking out into the sunset. We had driven out, I drove out with this girl I met, Rachel. Rachel. That we went out down this gravel road for I don't know how long, and we got to this point where we could just see the sunset. But it was just like us, and then you can see kangaroos and wallabies kind of hopping all over the place, and it was just quiet. And but the trees and everything, and then I remember the sunset going down was just like red. We're just kind of sitting there. We had a bottle of wine, and as it's going down, I remember looking back, and this is probably like one of the many times we did this to go watch a sunset. But I remember looking back and then realizing that I was gonna watch the night fall rather than the sunset. Mm-hmm. So then I remember just looking, because you'd have this red sun that's kind of disappearing, and then you look back and it's just pitch black, and you just see the galaxy just like, you just see the galaxy just kind of falling and pushing the sun down, you know? So that was beautiful. I think that was one of the really cool experiences I saw, kind of realizing that we're the ones spinning. You kind of forget, like, oh, the sun is setting. I'm like, no, motherfucker, the sun.
No, we're
Earth
spinning.
Is spinning.
We're spinning.
We're spinning away from it or towards it, whichever one it is, right? But yeah,
it's hard for people to comprehend that we're actually moving at 34,000 kilometers per hour. Mm-hmm. Like, that's how fast we're moving through space. The planet Earth is moving through space around the sun. Like, we're all moving at 34,000 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's just insane.
I know. And it looks so,
calm, peaceful.
Yeah. I forget what I read the other day, but someone I forget it was a book. Wasn't a book or I don't know. Anyways, but Dad pointed out how, there's no night. It's just the Earth's shadow. I'm like, oh, yeah. Yes.
Well, it's just like me and Kate were talking about the Earth. And when you're out there, like, what does it matter what North Pole, South Pole is? It doesn't matter what's north when you're up there and you're in space. Like, you have everything oriented upside down. It looks like instead of the moon orbiting like the top half, the northern hemisphere, it looks like it's just orbiting around the southern half of the hemisphere. And so it doesn't really matter. It's like, oh, some people probably say that's wrong. You need to flip that right side up. Yeah. Like, no, it's not wrong. You're in space. There's no up. There's no down. There's no perception of direction. It's just you are there in that specific time and space at that time. There is no direction. Yeah. You choose the direction.
Yeah. Well,
and that's what I find insane.
Yeah. It's kind of that, you can bring that perspective, that physical perspective into also, I think, a very mental perspective on things. I always look at that aspect of perception, how we perceive things, whether it's right or wrong. That's right to do, that's wrong to do. It's like, well, what's the perspective on it? Because one way is right and one way is wrong, but it's also wrong and right the other way.
Yin yang.
Yeah, so it's kind of that, I guess that level of, we talked about earlier, understanding, on someone else's. If you say something is right and I say something is wrong, it's kind of like, hold on, we're just looking at different perspectives. But is this something that I can be like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I'm okay with it. I'll work with you. I'll learn.
Yeah. I'll learn how to adapt.
Yeah, and it's yeah. So I think space kind of brings that whole aspect to it too. When you kind of are out there, it's like everything is just everywhere.
It also kind of brings a little like insignificant how insignificant you are when you start thinking about or seeing how big space actually is. Like how big our planet is compared to other planets, how big our star is to other stars, and then we're in a galaxy, and then there's different sized galaxies, and then there's clusters. There's small clusters of galaxies, and there's huge clusters of galaxies. It's just like, and it just keeps going and going, and then you're in this web of just galaxies, and it's just like, wow. And then you're just a tiny, not even a tiny little dot in that grand scheme of that. You're microscopic. You're like probably an electron in that like whole image of the web of the universe. Like it makes you feel like, why are we fighting against one another? Why aren't we just working towards building something better for everybody? Like, we're capable. We can be nice to one another.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one thing that is just done every moment within every interaction that you have, right? As an individual, and whatever you do, that if it's something that you're going to do that's going to spread out for others, that you're doing it in a certain way that you have the right intention for it, because that's how it all starts. It's what you can do every single day and every moment, every interaction that will have a positive effect on someone else. How you react to it, right? Because yes, can't go up and say and change someone, because again, now we're going back to right and wrong. Oh, you can't do that because that's wrong. It's like, hold on, are they wrong? Well, yes, you are. Who knows? I don't know. There's a million scenarios we can come up with, right?
Well, it's just like when you pulled out your camera and you just started pointing at me. I was like, what the hell are you doing, man? Why are you recording me? Like, I'm just trying to enjoy our conversation and our little chit chat that our little wine that we had, and you're just like, oh, just imagine something great. Imagine what you want to build, and I'm just like, okay, got this. And then when you sent me that video, I was just like, oh, I love this. Yeah. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, always something to something.
How long did it take you to do that?
No, that's kind of like my part of the practicing that we were talking about earlier. It's kind of like that child self that wants to like learn more, and I've never done video stuff, so it's kind of like my way to kind of practice that. But that took me on an hour or so to kind of figure it out. But of course, when you go into those programs, you're just like, oh, what? I want to do this, and it's a really simple thing to do, and you kind of show up. But that's part of the game, right? It's part of the learning process of kind of running into that frustration and just pushing past that frustration. And when the frustration is really kicking in, to just be like, it's okay, and then next thing you know, it's like, figure it out, or you did something else, you kept going, you figured something else out, you got a different idea to approach it, and then you create something, you're like, oh, I never thought about that.
That's another reason why I love doing podcasting. It just makes me want to innovate and learn all the time, because I want to be able to learn how to produce that quality of audio. I want to be able to learn how to bring a better quality of video to not only like myself, because I'm the one also watching this. I'm also hearing myself all the time, also the guests. And like I was telling you earlier, I was just like, when I first started, and I took a clip today actually, and I was just listening to it, and I was just like, oh, so much background noise in the background. Like, it's a little annoying. I was like, I'm going to work on this. And after I worked on that little clip, and I was just like, because I've been working with audio for a while now, probably a year now. Well, not a year, because that time in Australia, I didn't work too much on any clips. But now that I know what I'm doing and how to approach certain problems when it comes to audio, I'm just like, oh, I fixed it in like 5 minutes on a 1 minute clip. And I'm just like, oh, I can do that easily and just go back and just fix everything. And all the old podcasts that had all that feedback or background noise, I'll just go back and just clean it all up. Yeah. Like, it won't take long. Like, now that I know like how to use certain software programs, because like you said, when you get those software programs, you're looking at them, you're like, what the hell does all this do? How am I going to apply all this? What is the point of having all these tools on the sidebar? Like, what am I supposed to do with it all? Like, it's up to you to learn what you're supposed to do, what that tool can do for you, how it can help you. Like, tools are there. It's up to you to learn how to use them. And most of the time, it's just trial and error.
Yeah. And I mean, you have the whole internet too at your disposal. We have freaking libraries of information at our hands. It's the incredibly powerful tool that we have with us. So yeah, I mean, you just go on YouTube and you learn how to do it, and then done. Then you already know how to do it. Whereas before you had to go through a manual or something, try to figure it that way, or figure it out on yourself, or go take a class. With some dude that was trying to. He was the one person in the entire city that could teach someone how to do something, or use that program. But now it's everywhere. It's amazing everything you can learn if you want to learn something.
It's all online.
It's there. There's no.
I got in a heated debate with. I don't think it was heated. I didn't try to make it heated, but they got upset and unfriended me on Facebook. And yeah, I was just like, really? You comment me on something a statement I made about it was about UTSA, University of Texas at San Antonio, was promoting that they were going to give away free education to all incoming freshmen. Okay. But you read the fine print, it's like, oh, you have to keep above a 3.0 and you have to be enrolled full-time, and like, not everybody can do that. Like, incoming freshmen, not everyone's going to just dedicate their life at that period of time to just school. Like, no, a lot of us have to work. And there was times where like professors would be like, oh, you work 40 hours? Oh, okay, well, you can devote 40 hours to my class then. I'm like, what the fuck? No, I'm not that devoted student. Like, I'm not an A+ student. I'm fine with the C. I'm fine with the B. But what they're doing, I just think is wrong, because those kids are going to go in there, they don't know, like, oh, I'm going to get free education. Like, no, once you stop going to school and you start failing your classes, bam, no longer free education. Going to loop you in that college debt. That loan, because it's funny, the loans go straight to the universities, and you get the leftovers if there's any leftover. But the university already has their cash, and meanwhile, these loan companies are just piling up that money from all the student debt. It's so insane, just all these IOUs that they're trying to collect from people that went to higher education. And I just think with today's day and age, unless you want to learn a specific trade skill, go to trade school. Everything else you can learn online or read a book. I understand, like, some professions like nursing, doctors, and everything. Yeah, that's a trade skill. That's something you have to go to school for. That's something you're planning to do 10, 15, 20 years. Not something you're just wanting to learn on a whim. Like, that's a career.
Yeah.
And for some people, that's a career change. It's just insane. Like, how expensive and how universities are just trying to lure the young to say, like, oh, this is the only way you can get an education. This is the only way you can get a good job. I strongly believe, like, universities are probably going to fall in the next decade or two, because the internet is just so powerful. Knowledge is already out there.
Yeah.
You even got professors just putting their lectures on YouTube. Like, that's the best gift.
Yeah.
I wish more professors did that. Some professors are actually against that for some reason.
Yeah. Well, because of that, right? They want to keep the information here, pay for it if you want the knowledge. Because if you don't pay, you don't deserve it, right? That's kind of some of our mentality is that. But no, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's very it seems to be going in that direction, because what's the point of it? And it's interesting because when you're in school, at least when I was in school, that was something. It was, go to college, go to trade school. What are you going to do? There wasn't anything else, right? There wasn't, take a year off, go travel, go explore the world that you live in. Yeah. No, never that. No one rarely did that. It was go to school. And if you don't go to university or college, you kind of felt like
you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, like, oh shit, I need to go to college. And that's what I did. I went to college and kind of fell into that, like, what am I doing here? Oh, I don't like it, And I felt bad, go get a job and whatnot. And then working for 10 years and one career, I found out, like, I never needed a degree. I learned everything here, because I wanted to learn. And I realized that people were coming out from college degrees with business management degrees, and I was a manager at a water park, and they were expecting to get jobs that I was getting because they had a degree. But everyone's like, but you don't know how to operate a water park. you
have no experience.
And it's kind of like that. It's experience that matters in a huge way. And degrees like that, business administration and business, those ones that you're talking about, it's kind of like, yeah, you go read books. While you're in school, you want to do that, get some books and spend your time reading some books, right? Mm-hmm. You choose how you want to live your life and where you where it wants to go. You have full control over that, so you can decide that. And yeah, it's a really interesting time. I remember looking at having the thought of wanting to go to back to school. This is in Australia because I was like, oh, I know I want to go back to school. This is before I had this understanding. I remember looking up a philosophy degree because first I wanted to do psychology, and then I was like, no, I think it's actually philosophy that I like. And then I started looking up the curriculum for it, and then the curriculum, I'm like, why am I taking these classes? Why do I have to take that class? I don't need and I can read that. I can do this, and then I figured out I was like, I can do the whole curriculum on my own. I can write if I want to write. Write papers, I'll write. And I started doing that. I just write my own kind of things and try to learn how to write, explain something on my own. And then, little by little, I'll start sharing those and giving them away so that people can look at them or review them to give me feedback, right? And that's what it is. It's that how do I get my ideas out that I have? And yeah, it's just really, really interesting. Even I think the only 2 courses or 3 courses that were required that you had to take, you could not change them, were Texas history.
Yes.
And it's like, I'll go to philosophy so I can learn about Texas history. It's cool, but I don't need to take Texas history to get a degree to do something in the world. I'm sorry.
You live in Texas, man. You got to know your Texas history.
I know. I understand. I know what I need to know, And it's like, well, you don't know all your Texas. Like, I guarantee most people don't, and that's fine. There's, know what you want to learn. And I mean, history in itself is kind of its own little bubble of like, did that really happen? So it's kind of
the victor goes to the story.
Yeah.
So it's you never know what is prompt, what is real, and what is like, I would say made up, but I said prompt. So
yeah, that's it's all kind of out there. That's the interesting part too. Again, I guess the big topic now is that we're having right now is the internet, but you kind of get a lot of that weird esoteric stuff and just very interesting things about history that you kind of look at and people are like, oh, well, that's bullshit. It's not possible. And it's like, well, I don't know what's possible, really. I don't even know what is this then? Why am I here? But looking at that history part and kind of like those outward ideas are just like interesting to kind of just grasp and be like, well, yeah, I'm going to hold it there. I'm not going to say, no, it's not true, because I can't say it's true because I don't know if it's true, but it's just that get a concept and just hold it with you and be like, oh, interesting. And I'm going to hold it with me. I'm not going to say no to it. I'm just going to acknowledge it, observe it, because something else might come up that you kind of are able to connect dots or something. And you're like, oh, interesting. But the book doesn't say that. And it's like, well, is the book right?
Books are only books. They only possess words that someone else wrote down that is hopefully some valuable knowledge.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just fairy tales and stories, which is good too, because sometimes there's valuable lessons in those fairy tales.
Yeah. I mean, people didn't write fairy tales just because they wanted to entertain a crowd. Oh, bravo! So yeah, I wrote this for a reason, fuckers.
Speaking of writing, what are you writing now?
I'm writing a lot of, I don't know, just stuff. Really, it's just kind of whatever comes to mind. I just write it. The other day I wrote something. I wrote about nothing. The other day I wrote about nothing. I think I showed you.
Yeah, that was a very good story. I liked it. Yeah. Very good.
What was I working on? I'm going to start, I think maybe start working on a blog or something, but I don't know.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. So just kind of writing about something that's just randomness. And then I think at some point I'd like to write something bigger, whether it's a novel or a science fiction or I don't know, I have no idea again. It's just kind of
just a
whatever
story.
comes out. Yeah. It's really, I think that'd be, I've always wanted to do something like that. So I kind of try to write every single day to kind of get better at it. It's the only way you can really get better at writing, just to write. You can learn from people, get ideas and kind of their ways by reading, of course. But other than that, it's just kind of like, well, I don't know what to write about today, so I'm going to write about nothing.
What inspires you? What inspires you to write? What is some of the inspirations you get to write a specific story or to write a specific or to play a certain tune when you're recording music? What triggers those inspirations?
I think it's more of just with writing. A lot of it's just whatever comes, kind of life happens, and then something happens in life, and you kind of make a connection. You're like, interesting. That's a lot of it for me. It's kind of like, or things that I do too. I might be writing about something of something quirky that I do that I just realized that I did. It's kind of like for example, I wrote something about peeing because I realized that I drink a lot of water, right? So I'm writing and I'm drinking water and writing until I go pee. And then at some point I caught myself flushing all the time. I'm like, why am I flushing all the time? I'm peeing so much and I'm flushing more than I drink. Mm. I'm wasting more water than I'm drinking water. So then I stopped flushing. I was like, oh, I'm gonna hold it. So then I'm there kind of like realizing that I'm only flushing once a day. And I just thought it was just funny because it was just like, then I kind of saw myself as this character of just being like, it could be a really gross thing, but I was just trying to be conscious about saving water. But then like in the morning I'd wake up and then be smelling like piss. I'm like, I think, it's time to flush. That's my one flush for the day. And I don't just go for one flush. I flush when it's time to flush. But it's just one of those things that I catch myself in things that I do or things that my parents do, things I see out in the world that people might not notice that they're doing that. I'm kind of like, I noticed that you do that.
Oh, it's just like, do you shower every day? Do you need a shower every day? Mm-hmm. What did you do for the day? If you worked out, you ran around, you were sweaty, yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. You need another shower.
Yeah.
But if you didn't really do anything, maybe you just wash your body. You don't wash your hair.
Yeah.
Because really, our hair doesn't really need to be washed every day.
Yeah.
You get rid of all the oils. You get rid of all the nourishment that your hair has with the shampoo. Maybe if you use conditioner, that'll bring some of it back. But really, the oils is what gives your hair life.
Mm.
Well, gives my hair life. I should put it that way.
Yeah.
Not everyone's hair is the same.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's I think with showering, I have been pushing myself to always go to cold, especially in the last, like, once I finish, like, I kind of shower, I try to quick. Once I'm done, it's kind of like before I get out, like I'm about to turn off, but then I'm like, you told yourself you'd do it, and then I'm like, oh, but it's like, no, you told yourself you'd do it. I'm like, and then it just comes out cold, and it's And I just stand there and I just take it in. And it's kind of like this, like, it's that change in temperature. And interesting enough, now that I do it, it's like I get a lot of pleasure out of it.
Yeah.
Like the water comes out and it's cold, and I just kind of like feel it and notice it. And then it's interesting because your mind initially, when you do it the first time, first of all, it's kind of like the struggle of going cold, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or being in the shower and being so easy to be like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, no. I can't do it right now because I've got this and that and whatever. You give yourself excuses and then you start doing it. And when you do it, you realize that you're just kind of standing in the cold and you're just like, your mind's just going like, oh, what are you doing? That's all just, and it's like, stop it. And then little by little, then it turns out that you do it. And then you're just kind of like experiencing the coldness devour your body. And then all of a sudden it's just, then you realize, and then before you even notice it, it's just kind of like just water hitting you. And then you're kind of like there and it's cold, but you don't really realize it's cold. You're just kind of like, oh. And then you feel really good. You're like, oh.
That's exactly like how the water felt, in Sydney. Yeah. When you just go in, it's like that initial shock of just freeze. Like in your mind, you're thinking like, oh, this water is freezing. It's cold. But that first wave hits you. You're like, okay, that was cold. Second wave hits you. You're like, oh, I'm feeling warmer. Yeah. Like you start moving in the water. You start moving. Start trying to ride those waves with your body, and you're nice and warm. And for me, like that, I was taking more cold showers at night or cold showers at home because it was just like that cold wasn't like shocking to me anymore. Like I almost preferred the cold shower over the hot because I was like, it's hot. Yeah. I'd rather just take a cold shower anyways. Yeah. But no, I used to love like that initial, like you still get that. Like for me, I still got that shock every time I got in the water, but it was just instantly gone the moment after I hit the water. Like it's just that initial spike shock and then flatline. Especially like when I used to walk down to that pool on the bottom of the rock cliffs. Every time I jumped in and go for my morning swim, it was always just that spike of cold and then flatline, just swimming. Like it was just perfect conditions. Like you don't feel yourself heating up. You don't feel your muscles because you're just like, I wouldn't say numb, but you're at that level where you're almost numb, where you don't feel it. You don't feel any pain. And I don't know. I loved it. It was truly one of the best experiences I ever had.
Yeah. What was that your biggest experience in Australia?
No. Ooh, biggest experience in Australia.
Or one of your most memorable experiences?
It was one of them. I have a bunch. Oh, man. What would be one? I mean, Uluru was good. Going through the national forest was fun. I think one of the biggest experience, it's like a positive and a negative, in the sense that when those brush fires came, it just covered the city with smog. Like this ash was in the air, just filtered out the sun. And then when we drove down to the Royal Forest, like still foggy, but we're going up and down some small mountains. And then when we get to the other side, we were heading to this area called Figure 8. And you have to go through the Royal National Forest just south of Sydney. And the smog, you can slowly start seeing the smog getting less and less because as you're going up and down the mountains, the smog has to climb and rise and all that. But by the time you got to the beach, the coastline, the smog was gone. It was just like, what brush fires had been happening. It was just a blue sky. It was beautiful. It was, I would say that was probably memorable.
Oh, wow.
Because you're going from like smog, horrible air to breathe, to just fresh, crisp ocean air.
Mm.
It's beautiful.
Nice.
But no. And I would say like Australia also just opened up the path for me to like start doing my own thing. Just start investing, like as you say, reinvest into yourself.
Mm.
Because when I was investing myself in Australia, I was trying to formulate the perfect interview in my head, because the main problem I was running into was visa status, the whole working holiday program. It's like, ooh, what? You only have like 4 months left on your current visa? No. Like, we love your skill set. We love your experience. But, sorry. Not going to sponsor you. Right. Good luck. Go find someone else. Like, it was just every day, pretty much. Interview. Phone interview. Every once in a while, I get lucky and I strike like a in-person interview. But even then, it was only reason that I got struck an in-person interview was because they didn't ask about my visa. They asked about my visa in person. They're like, oh, well, we'll let you know in a couple days. It's just like, come on. That was the only real struggle that I had over there, was just trying to find a job. And I didn't give up. I just knew how things were playing out. I was just like, okay, they really don't like people on working holidays. They mainly just want to use people for working holidays for temporary jobs here, like short temporary jobs, maybe minute jobs. Because that's one of the things you have to do, is you have to go do farm work on the working holiday. And I didn't even have to do that, but maybe it was an experience I missed. Who knows? Yeah. But you lived it. I get to hear your fantastic story.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole scheme is really interesting. Oh, because you have the working holiday visa where you can go work and live in Australia for up to a year, and then if you want to extend it for a second year, you can do farm work, which has to be 88 days or 3 months. There's all these caveats to it and whatnot, but it has to be a certain type of work out in regional Australia, right? So that's kind of what led me to the working on the island, and starting work at potato farm. So in that potato farm, all I would do would be was just to sit in front of this conveyor belt. All these potatoes would just go by, and literally I just had to pick out potatoes and toss away the bad ones. Just did that for 12 hours a day.
What made them bad?
They had these they had like a bacteria or some
spore.
Yeah, they had different. There's a whole chart of like different things that showed signs of decay or of whatever. I guess it's bacteria. I forget what they called it. Or disease. That you had to kind of toss them out. If not, they could spoil the rest. But these things would just kind of like spin around on these. Again, it's like a conveyor belt or like little wheels that spin around. So all these potatoes are just kind of rolling from one end to the other, and you're just kind of looking at, grabbing and looking at them. And then they had mud, so you had to kind of like clear off the mud to make sure that, because then they're all just black, but you can't throw away all of them. But then you're throwing away too many. But then the moment you start letting a lot go, they would check the bags and be like, you're not throwing away the right ones. So there's always a back and forth. There's never a good medium on how to approach that. But that was interesting because I just did that for, that's all I did was just pick potatoes. My back hurt. I listened to a lot of podcasts, a lot of conversations with people throughout the day. You kind of, towards the end of the day, you just kind of go in a little cuckoo.
Reminds me of my days when I worked for the state, just driving hours just on the road and listening to just podcasts. And then sometimes when I drove into those real like out there areas that didn't have any signal, and I didn't download enough podcasts for the day, oh man, it's just like, what do you listen to out there? Like, local radio is playing the same music that is in your local station where you live, or it's Tejano music or Spanish music. Didn't mind some of the Spanish music, but sometimes it's just you're going cuckoo just sitting there waiting because you have to wait for someone else to show up on this ranch that is over probably 500,000 acres, and and there's a speed limit of 15 to 20 miles an hour. And it just takes sometimes like an hour and a half just to go across a ranch. It's so insane because it's not like you go in a straight line. No, you go along the outline border of the property, then you make an L turn, and then you do another like L turn into another fenced off area that you have to open the fence and go through. It's so like monotonous. It just becomes like I'm getting tired of getting in and out of the truck. I'm tired of going so slow. It's, I don't know. For me, it started just becoming boring. But some people tell me I had a dream job. I was like,
It's like, I want to do something. I want to make an impact. I'm not making an impact here. I'm just sitting my ass off.
Not an impact. Just I want to be more productive than getting in and out of a truck.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great seeing some Texas scenery. But other than that, I mean, after a while, like you start doing that for more than 2 years, you start going the same areas for more than 2 years. It's just like, it's nothing new.
Yeah. Yeah. Need that change. Yeah.
What would you like to improve on yourself going forward?
Improve on myself.
How about not improve? Improve. How about what would you like to start experimenting in?
I think I've been doing that. I think with writing and music and video and just kind of working with all that stuff is kind of that in itself. Very big underboard that I'm taking on. It's kind of that. It's like, oh, this it might take me 4 years to get really good at this. And I'm like, that's okay. 4 years, okay. 4 years, here we go. Every day, woohoo! And that's it. It's the process of every day of waking up and just being okay. Oh, it's today. What am I doing? What am I going to work on? And just work and just focusing on that, and then whatever comes. So I guess in a sense that's what things I want to focus on. Moving forward or keep moving forward. Again, it's always I think
keep pushing, keep moving forward.
Yeah. I think it's I loved one of Jeff Bezos' letters to his what do you call it, stockholders? Not stockholders or whatever they do when the CEO sends out their letter to their company.
Probably a letter to the stockholders.
That's that. I think it's back at, I don't remember what year it was, but he made a really good, interesting thing that I think one can take to their daily life was that the way he approaches Amazon or tells everyone is that they always live on day one. It's always day one. It's day two comes around, it's the day that company falls. But it's kind of like that same concept. Every day is always day one. So if day one comes, what are we doing? What are we going to work on? Because you don't want to let tomorrow ever catch up.
Yeah.
In that sense,
That's awesome.
You hear. It's funny if you think about it. If you think about tomorrow catching up, it doesn't make sense, but tomorrow does catch up. If you're focusing on tomorrow, it'll come, and then.
But then you're not focusing on today.
Yeah, you're always focusing on tomorrow. I'm like, I'll do that tomorrow.
That reminds me of like another tech biggie, Elon Musk, where he sent out to his stakeholders. It's all like, our main objective is not to make money. Like, you imagine that if you're a stakeholder and you read that, like, I just invested in this company, how much? And the CEO just said his main objective is not to make money. But instead is to make a great product that people will love. Like, obviously that's going to make money if that's your goal, is to make something that people will love. Like, if people don't love it, then obviously you're going to tune it. You're going to make adjustments. You're going to build on that day to help tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, that's genius.
Yeah. But the thing is, too, is that he's making something that he loves. It's not that he's making something that people will love. He's saying that. But in reality, it's doing something that he loves. I think it's so important for people that want to build a business or be an entrepreneur or create something, is that you're doing something that you love. You're not doing something because you think someone that's going to love that because it's going to make you money. Because the moment you start going around to do it for money,
it's the moment you fail.
That's going to, it might get you money, absolutely, but something is not going to work out, because now you're just focusing on the money, and then you're going to be doing something that you don't really love, or that you might be screwing people over because you want to make money. And you don't care what they, because now it's just about the money. So it's that, like he's doing, has been doing, and many other great companies do. It's like, hey, I love what I'm doing, and I want to do that.
Awesome, dude.
It's
been fun.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course,
Thank you
man.
for coming on.
Yeah.
We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, first podcast ever. There you go. After listening to like 3,000 plus hours of other podcasts, but yep.
How'd you like it?
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was good.
Thank you so much for that video, man.
Of course, dude.
Appreciate it. Loved it.
Anytime.
Awesome.